Hi guys, welcome to Age Graceful Soulful Eats. Well, this is my seafood boil all done here. I have the crab, red skin potatoes, I have sausage, boiled corn, and I have some jumbo prawns here. And my sauce for tonight is a sweet chili garlic butter sauce. If you would like to see how I made this, stay tuned to the video. Okay, see you soon. Hi guys, welcome to Age Graceful Soulful Eats. How are you today? Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making a seafood boil. So I'm going to adjust the camera slightly so you can see what I have going on here. You might not see my face, but you'll see my hands in the food. That's what you really need to see. So I'm putting the camera on the table here, and I'm going to use a roasting pan. This pan is traditionally used for maybe a turkey or roasting chicken or roast in the oven. But I'm going to use it today on top of the stove because it's long enough to hold this piece of crab. This is jumbo crab, and you can see that it has the claw. Look at that thick meat there on that end and over here. I'm going to have to use the scissors to open this. It's dripping wet because I just rinsed off all my meats. You never want to cook meats without making sure that you rinse them off. So I'm going to put this down into my pan. Next, I have a medium-sized lobster tail. And what I did is I split it down the middle so that as it cooks, the meat will kind of like come through that shell a little bit and make it easier to get out. I'm going to put this in the bottom of my pan. Next, I have some jumbo prawns, and they still have the shell on, which is going to give my boil flavor, but they have been deveined, and I've also rinsed these off a couple of times, and I just left them to unthaw. All the meat was frozen. I purchased it fresh today from my area Sam's Club. So now I'm going to lay these into my pan. So how are you guys doing today? I know that you're used to seeing me do hair and makeup for mature women, but cooking actually has been my love all my life. And at one point I did have a part-time catering job. I don't do a lot of it now, but I still cook for family and friends. Okay, so now that I have those seafoods in, I have some smoked sausage. And this smoked sausage I've sliced up on an angle just to give it a nice presentation. And this is 2 links of smoked sausage. And I'm going to put these in my pan. The smoky flavor is going to help to season the shrimp, the lobster, and the crab meat. So I'm going to place these in my pan. Okay, next I have some red skin potatoes. These potatoes were on the larger side, so I did go ahead and quarter them so that they would cook faster, because once the potatoes are done, then your, or fork tender I should say, then your meats should be cooked as well. So that's how I kind of time it. And that usually takes anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven or the stove top. It just depends. It's a lot of variables. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use the stove top or the oven, but I'll probably use the stove top just so you can see. So we have our potatoes, our lobster, our crab, and our prawns or shrimp. The next thing I have here is some corn. It's still in the bag, so I'm going to take a few ears out, and I'm going to take these over to the sink, and I'm going to rinse these off as well, because I don't know who had their hands on them before I got them. So let me rinse these off. And since they're broken in half, I'm going to put 2 for each person in my household. So that means that I'm going to use 6 of them. And you're probably saying, oh, she doesn't have enough shrimp or crab or lobster, but this dish is for myself. I might let them taste, but for the men in the house, I'll show you what I have for them. So I'm going to put my corn on top so that it can steam. For the men in the house, I have cod fillet for Mr. G. And then for my son, I have a catfish fillet. These were frozen, so I just put them in cold water. If you put them in hot water, that will kind of cook your meat ahead of time. You want to make sure you're using cold water. Okay, so now I need a towel. Kind of pat my hands dry. And I'm just going to put these things over at the sink area. Get them out of my way. All right, so on top of all of this in my pan, I'm just going to show you what the pan looks like. Okay, that looks good already, and it's not even done. And I put the meats on the bottom so that they can get fully cooked, and I put the potatoes and corn on top so they're more or less steamed. I'm going to use a little bit of Old Bay seasoning in my seafood boil, and I'm just going to lightly sprinkle this, and that's going to give everything good flavor. I'm also a firm believer in Himalayan pink salt. You don't need as much of this salt as you do regular white iodized salt. So a little bit of this pink Himalayan salt goes a long way. I'm just going to go lightly with it because all seafood has a certain amount of sodium within it anyway. So just very lightly, more or less to season the potatoes and the corn. So I have a little bit of that there. Next, to add a little bit of color for presentation, I'm going to use some parsley, just some dried parsley. I'm going to sprinkle some of this on top of everything in the pan. And then next, I'm going to use a small amount of chopped chives, and these are dried as well. If it were summertime, I like to grow things like this in my garden, and you could go out to your garden and use the fresh chives and just chop them up. So I'm just going to use a small amount of dried. You have to remember, anytime you use a dried herb, it's much stronger than your fresh. So you want to use this herb lightly. So I'm just going to put a little bit of chive. I don't want to overpower it because the butter that I'm going to use is going to be garlic based. I really love garlic butter. So I have my butter here. I'm not going to put it in a pot. I'm going to heat this up in the microwave. And I'm going to add, I want a sweet, savory butter. So sweet, garlicky taste. I have this Frank's Red Hot Sweet Chili Dipping Sauce. And I'm going to add a few dollops of this to my butter along with some chopped garlic. But before I do that, I want to show you my pan again. Doesn't that look beautiful? And it's not even done yet. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the sink and add some water. I'm only going to fill this up maybe a third of the way because I don't want to boil the flavor out of everything. I want everything to more or less have enough room and sort of steam. And my lobster and my crab is still frozen, so I'm going to get a little water out of that as well once it starts to defrost from the heat of the stove. Okay, I'm going to put my lid on and I'm going to turn the camera, excuse me, I'm sorry, so that you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go over here to the stove, move this pot over, and I'm going to place this roaster on top of the stove. Okay, and I'm going to cut this on a medium flame to kind of get it going, and then once it begins to boil, I probably will cut it down just a tad bit. Let me tighten up my apron here because I still have one more task to complete. I want to show you how I do my garlic. I'm going to use fresh garlic, so I'm going to turn my camera again. Okay, so I've already placed some garlic, and I'll bring this over to you. I can't live without this. This is my Ninja. And it has a blade, and I can put any vegetable I want in here. This holds about 2 cups, so you never want to fill it past the line. So I have some garlic in here, but I'm going to add 2 more. So what I do, the peel is hard to get off of garlic. It fits real tight, but you want it to fit tight. If your garlic, if the peel slides off too easily, that means that the garlic is not any good. You should probably dispose of it. So the easiest way to open your garlic, I use this flat spatula. And I put my cloves of garlic down, and I put the spatula on top of them, and then I use my fist to kind of break that up, and I'm just going to bring it over so you can see. And this helps the paper to slide right off. See how easy and simple that was? That's number 1. I did 2 more. And I'm just going to pull the paper right off, and there I have my garlic. Nice fresh garlic. Okay, so now I'm going to add this to my Ninja. Put my plastic cover on. And there's a hole here in the top where the motor sits. So that's my motor. I'm going to plug it up. Okay, I lost the light on this side, but it's okay. I'll get it back. And then on the top, there's a big button, and I'm going to push down on that, and it goes real quick. That's it. This garlic is done. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I want to get my light back. This is the USB light. There we go. Okay, so I have my garlic. And I'll bring it over so you can see how fine that garlic became. I'm going to remove my blade, and be very careful with this blade. I have a plate here sitting on the table. I'm just going to put it there till I get ready to wash it. And then I have a small spatula so that I can collect my garlic and get every piece of it. Now I'm going to add the garlic to this bowl with the butter. And now I have this all set and prepared to go. When the seafood boil is just about ready, all I'll have to do is put this in the microwave. Since it's so fine, the microwave will help to soften the garlic and it won't be bitter. It'll come out kind of on the sweet side and it'll be mild on the palate. So that's my butter. It's all prepped and ready to go. And as I said before, I have my pan on the stove. I'm going to give that about 40 minutes. Let me look and see on my clock. It is 6:37. I'm going to say that at about 10 minutes after 7, 7:15 at the latest, this should be done. I'll come back and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, I'll be back, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. It's about 5 minutes after 7, and I'm just going to show you the steam coming off of this boil. So what I'm going to do is get a fork, and I'm going to test these potatoes. And they're tender. They are pork tender. And I am going to bring the pan over to the camera. Let me get another pot holder because this bad boy is hot. I'm going to cut off my fire. It actually got done quicker than what I thought it would. The lobster, the shell is nice and pink. Can you see through that steam? And I don't want to pour this water out on my table. But that's what this sucker is looking like. Doesn't that look yummy? So I'm going to place this back on the stove and replace my lid. And that will stay nice and hot. Now I'm going to change the position of my camera. And I'm going to go back to the butter, okay? So I'm going to run this in the microwave to get soft. And this lid, a plastic lid with vents, I'm going to put over the bowl so that if the butter splashes or pops, it won't mess up the inside of my microwave oven. So I'm just going to let that melt down. And once it's melted, I'm going to add my Frank's Red Hot Sweet Chili. A little bit at a time. I'm going to stir and taste, because I don't want to put too much. I want it just right. So if you put a lot in, you can't take it out. It's best to add a little bit at a time. So watch out, man. I want to get stepped on. Let me get a small spatula. This butter is fully melted because it was soft. I'm going to let it go about that garlic. Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to let it just go another minute because I want the garlic to be tender and I want it to be mild to the palate. Raw garlic is very bitter on the palate and it sort of burns, and I don't want that type of flavor. So I'm just going to give that about another minute, and then I'm going to add my dipping sauce a little bit at a time and then kind of taste that to see if I like it. Okay, so I'm going to grab this out now. And I'm going to show you. This butter is all melted. You can see the steam coming off of it. Okay. And now I'm going to get my dipping sauce. And I'll use a spoon. So that's 1 tablespoon. And I didn't add the dipping sauce at first because it does have a sugar. It has a little bit of sugar in it, and I didn't want the sugar to burn in the microwave. So I'm just going to put 4 tablespoons, and this was like about maybe 3/4 of a stick of butter. It was 1 big block, and I'm going to assume that it was about 3/4 of a stick. Okay, so now I'm just going to taste this. That's like perfect. Because I don't want it like super sweet, just a little bit. That was 4 tablespoons that I used. And I've used about maybe 6 cloves of garlic, but they were real small cloves where you saw them about that big. Maybe that big. So my butter sauce is all done. And this bowl is cool enough where I can handle it. But there's my butter sauce for you to see. And this sweet chili sauce just has some red chilies in it chopped up. And like I said, it's a little bit on the sweet side. It kind of reminds you a little bit of maybe plum sauce or duck sauce that you would use on egg rolls, but it has some chilies in it. So that will complete my demonstration of a seafood boil. I hope that this demonstration helps you the next time that you're in the kitchen and you have a taste for a crab food boil. Thank you for tuning in today, and I'll see you the next time with some more soulful eats. You all take care. Bye.